All right, how are we doing on the mic? We good? And good on the live stream? All right, I got some notes here. It's our speaker. You know, I once gave a talk where I forgot to prepare the introduction for the speaker. I was mortified. I was trying to make it up right there on the spot. It was unbelievable. But I want to say welcome to everyone. Thank you all for being here. Not only as part of our first year experience, kind of programming on the campus, but especially thanks to Religious Studies, Religion Matters programming, the Office of Student Life, the Keiko School of Science, SOLA, and the American Academy of Religion, which is the original source that brought my friend and collaborator here. And a special thank you to Professor Grabowski, who is here donating his time in the back to help us have a live stream, and also to be on YouTube in some indefinite kind of future. But also the Marcom folks who helped with the events management and all that stuff, getting the room set up. Everybody, thank you all very much. But most especially, thank you to everyone who came here today. Really appreciate seeing you all, students and faculty alike. Among the students, in case you are generally interested in matters related to artificial intelligence, we will have a new minor forming either this spring or next academic year in AI, ethics, and society. So if that interests you as a minor field of study, you can either shoot me an email and I'll connect you to the fabulous professor who's putting the program together, or otherwise, if you know Dr. Adams in the English department, you can go straight to her. But I encourage you to consider that if this is, in your intellectual wheelhouse in a general sense. I met our speaker a few years ago when he happened to be coming to New York City, and he sent me an email and he said, "Hi, I happen to have read your book. Would you like to have lunch with me? I'm going to be in the Times Square area." Yeah, my enthusiasm for going to Times Square was like really low. But I said, okay, I'll come and I'll meet you. And I complained to my wife and I said, oh, there's this scholar from out of town and he wanted to meet me. And so I have to go down to all the way to Times Square, and then we're going to have lunch, and fine, And I went and we met up and we went to lunch and we had the most amazing conversation. It was wonderful. He was brilliant and thoughtful, and by the time we were done with lunch, we were talking about how we might collaborate on future projects. And I don't even think that was because we were drinking. I think it was actually just the kind of quality of intellectual connection that we were able to make. And we've published one paper together, we have 2 academic papers forthcoming together, and kind of a sort of list of projects that we might be working on. So our collaboration has been, for me, an intellectual joy. It's actually also an opportunity to literally become a better person. He makes me a better human being and a better scholar at the same time. And I couldn't be more grateful for that in my own life, and to have him here on campus now. Professor Young-Sup Song earned his BA at the prestigious Yonsei University in Seoul, Korea, his MDiv from Emory in 2002, and his PhD from Drew University in 2012. He teaches Christian ethics at Yeongnam Theological Seminary and University in Korea, where he has been teaching about things about AI to ministry students for years now. He's published extensively in Christian ethics in both English and Korean, and his more recent work has been specifically engaged with the subject of artificial intelligence. He's been the principal investigator on multiple grants funded by the National Research Federation of the Republic of Korea, and he is my collaborator and co-author on an American Academy of Religion grant. He has even graciously invited me to Korea on more than one occasion under the auspices of his own research grants, and I've been very grateful for that. He's presented research around the world, including at this year's Virtue in AI conference hosted by the Graduate Theological Union and funded by the Sir John Templeton Foundation. He's a brilliant scholar, a thoughtful human being, and a wonderful collaborator. Please join me in welcoming Professor Song to Manhattan College.
Thank you, Robert. Actually, you are my, not only just a colleague, as I always talk to you, you are like my brother. And you just feel some, through our collaborative works, we actually not only just focused on our, academic and works only. We just, share our life, our family matters, and my daughter. Whenever something happened to my daughter studying in Virginia, I just knew, oh, Robert, what should I do? Then he gives me a lot of some advice, and I really like him, and it is my privilege to know him. He's very, very famous in this field of AI. That's why I just contacted him in South Korea. I really love to meet him in Manhattan because there was an international conference on AI, artificial intelligence, society, and ethics in 2021. And it was my time to come, and actually not only to join that conference, but also need to see him here in Manhattan, in New York. And thank you for your warm regards and welcome, Robert. And it is my privilege and honor to give a lecture here at Manhattan College, New York. I deeply appreciate everyone who supported me to come here. And I stand here as a Korean Protestant theologian. This position indicates that my religious research on the development of pro-social moral artificial intelligence is based on the regional, cultural, and religious limitations and characteristics of Korea and Koreans. This particular view in my paper on moral AI may sound unfamiliar to many people from other cultures. However, I hope that our common interests in AI and its future with us, whether it is bright or doomed, can help us overcome our regional and cultural differences and do not make my lecture too much completely incomprehensible or unacceptable to you. In today's lecture, I will introduce the Korean tradition of hwarangdo and Professor Dong-sik Yu's interpretation of Korean religious tradition in light of hwarangdo. By doing so, I would like to offer some alternative values for the development of pro-social moral AI. If so, the question that comes to our mind is how Korean cultural and religious values have to do with the AI research advancing at a lightning speed in the United States today, and what positive contributions probably they can make. As my dear friend and renowned scholar Professor Robert Gerasi argues, and I agree totally with him, there is an intersection. Do you see the Tai Chi that's swelling? Actually, he tried to symbolize this intersection of religion, culture, and science and technology in a hydra. But orientally, Korean way of interpretation was this Tai Chi, swirling, actually interacting with each other. There is an intersection where culture, religion, and science and technology influence each other in the discourse and development of AI, especially in our era of globalization and internet. A regional culture does not stay in one place alone, but may spread over the world, interacting with each other. And foreign cultures not only can interact with our own culture, but also can interact with the religion and science and technology by the people who were influenced by the cultural interactions. In particular, K-culture, including K-pop and K-drama, is spreading around the world at a much faster speed and intensity than before thanks to international platforms such as Netflix and Apple TV over the internet. In our technological environments, it will be too narrow of a perspective to assume that the influence of the Korean culture will be limited to the realm of culture in US society. If Korean culture can directly affect some Americans, the possibility of its interactions with religion and science and technology that are held by the people cannot be ruled out. Thus, I would like to introduce Korea's religious and cultural traditions for the development of pro-social moral AI from the perspective of the interaction of culture, religion, and science and technology in the global communities. Currently, no one can be so sure how far AI technology will advance and what limitation will it have in the distant future. We only know that science and technology as a discipline will always seek for progress through new questions, constantly trying to answer them. Like Max Weber said, it is, of course, a separate issue. It is one thing that science and technology strive to progress endlessly, and it is another thing that science and technology can actually overcome all difficulties in the progress. However, some scientists believe in the actual infinite advancement of AI out of the ideal of infinite progress, although they believe that it is a matter of time, not a possibility, for AI to develop into superintelligence. I am not in the position to evaluate their visions. All I can think of is, if we pay attention to their visions, we will be able to grasp the ultimate direction for the future AI to move forward. What is challenging among the visions of these scientists, such as Ray Kurzweil, it is the claim that the AI robots will replace humans eventually and become the master of history instead of humans. This vision predicts that one day humans will recognize AI robots as persons and will pursue symbiosis with them until humans completely migrate into the machines by uploading their conscious mind into robot bodies. Their arguments seem to be based on the premise that there will not be as much difference between humans and AI robots in reasoning. While most of us want to be set a boundary between humans and AI robots on the basis of consciousness or emotion that we regard as unique human characteristics, we are, in fact, not fully aware of what they are. If we ultimately accept their premise, or if AI robots developed as equivalent to humans in terms of intelligence or emotion, we will have to grapple with them with new issues that we have never thought of before. AI robots will no longer be considered as tools for humans, but new partners for us to make meaningful relationships. This change will challenge our previous understandings of society, culture, politics, and religion. Probably, it may be necessary for us to make a relationship of mutual respect with AI robots for our own survivals in the future. Through our progress, if we have the potential to develop AI robots equivalent or superior to human intelligence, we will have to embed or teach ethical values to AI robots in order to make it pro-social or moral. These values may be formed through cultures and religions and be incorporated into the development of AI by the people with the values. If Judeo-Christian apocalyptic traditions are influencing the Western research of AI robots, as Professor Jarasi argued convincingly, pro-social AI robots that are welcomed and appreciated by the global community would be possible when they also reflect and interact with the ethical values from other cultures and religious traditions. Then why I'm talking about moral AI? Nowadays, AI robots are developed to serve specific goals as factory works, medical care, and military service, etc. These AI robots have been embedded with ethical codes that reflect teleological or deontological systems. In other words, AI robots must pursue their objectives, given objectives, within the scope of certain rules in various situations. However, AI robots may avoid the embedded rules to achieve the ultimate goals if its intelligence advances enough. Many scholars warn of dangers of AI, superintelligence, in the future, as it may find way to evade the rules by humans and set their own goals, which may threaten human existence. The threat of future AI robots is only a theoretical possibility so far, but it could, at least some people see this a realistic outcome. In response to the danger of future AI, such as superintelligence, some scientists and philosophers have suggested various ways to protect humans. One of the proposals for pro-social AI is the development of moral AI. The proposal of the development of moral AI is an attempt to let a child-level AI learn virtues and ultimately grow into a moral agent to become truly pro-social AI beyond the social and functional limitations of AI with embedded codes that reflect teleology and deontology. This idea seems to be somewhat abstract, and there appear to be many limitations on creating artificial moral agents this way. Nevertheless, there is a valid point in the belief that for AI to be pro-social, it must learn and grow from the good parts of human nature. Since humans will program and develop AI for specific purposes, this AI, this area is actually respond to my lecture. Yeah. Since, again, growth, nevertheless, there is a valid point, yes, in the belief that for AI to be pro-social, it must learn and grow from the good parts of human nature. Since humans will program develop AI for specific purposes, such as military drones, if the developer or purpose is evil and vicious, dangerous and malicious AI will be created, which is a potential threat to human existence in the future. Moral AI seems to better serve to eliminate the possibility of being evil, since it would learn from the goodness of humans to be moral in order to pursue virtuous goals. Furthermore, it seems that the idea of moral AI implies the possibility of ethical perfection. That is, AI, more virtuous than humanity, may be possible through the robot's higher intelligence and freedom from emotional suffering. However, some issues have been left vague or unanswered in the discussions about moral AI. They are about diversity as well as receptivity, and particularity as well as universality in the issues of culture and religion. While it is easy for us to approve of using pro-social moral AI to prevent the danger of AI, it seems difficult to deal with the issues of AI that are related with culture and religion, especially when they are different from ours. For example, who can be selected from which culture as an exemplary model for moral AI? Whose stories from which communities should be told and taught for moral AI to nurture virtues? Which virtues from which religions should moral AI learn to better serve the global communities? Perhaps our answers to these questions are related not only with our choices of specific persons, stories, virtues, cultures, and religions for the development of moral AI, but also with our willingness to learn from different cultures and different religions. In addition, a further question may arise. How can moral AI learn common values to serve the global communities through particular stories of different culture or religion from our own? On this practical question, a Christian ethicist, Stanley Howard, would be a helpful resource. According to him, a common virtue can be nurtured through stories, even though they are from different cultures and times. Likewise, we may be able to teach moral AI to learn common virtues through the various stories of different cultures and religions. If we search for virtuous stories from different cultures and religions and teach them our moral AI at the level of children, it may learn and nurture specific virtues that we are intended it to have. Common virtues may be nurtured through different stories to moral AI that will become more inclusive and receptive to other cultures and religions. The ideas and stories of Hwarangdo of Korea should have contributions to the development of pro-social moral AI by providing virtues and values of Korean cultural and religious traditions. Regional values and virtues found from Hwarangdo may have potential to nurture moral AI to have common virtues for the global communities. Especially Korean Hwarangdo that I introduced today have religious foundations to interact with other cultural and religious traditions and have unique components that can be considered as alternative values. In Korean traditional culture, there was a warrior organization called Hwarang or Hwarangdo. Often, when you think of Asian warriors, you may think of Japanese swordsmen, like samurai or ninja, right? However, Korean Hwarang or Hwarangdo was a warrior or a warrior organization that had unique cultural and religious characteristics different from those of other countries. If Hwarang or Hwarangdo is understood more than an individual person or an organization, it can also be a socio-cultural religious tradition of Korea. It may refer to Hwarangdo, the same English and sound but different in Chinese character. It's Taoism. Or Pongryudo, another name of Hwarangdo, as a national spirituality or spirit causes Korean subjectivity. This has its origin in the ancient ritual of worshipping the sky to the Middle Ages and modern times. It has formed a national spirit. In other words, it constitutes the religious consciousness or spirituality of Koreans. Some Korean scholars find the origin of Hwarang in Korea's ideology of Dangun, belonging to the mythical founder of the ancient Joseon dynasty around 24th century BCE. According to these scholars, in ancient folk beliefs, there was holy land called 소도, where a ritual was held to the gods of heaven under a large tree. 소도, a sacred land, was a place where priests, shamans, lived, led group activities in rituals, and trained in order to gain divine power. Some teenagers, who would later be called 화랑 or 화랑도, also trained here to gain divine power, divine ability for 홍익인간, that is to benefit humans or all of the world. If 화랑도 is connected to the 단군 myth like this, it seems convincing to argue that the idea of 홍익인간 as their training goals is inherent. The idea of 홍익인간, which means to benefit humanity and the entire world, seems to be similar to Western utilitarianism, claiming the greatest happiness of the greatest number. Some scholars argue that 홍익인간 is a community-centered idea for humanity and welfare of humans. However, other scholars explain that the idea of 홍익인간 has been influenced by Buddhism and shows a willingness to expand benefits to all things of nature without limiting to humans. 화랑도 was institutionalized during the period of King Jinheung, about 6th century. He developed the Silla kingdom through expanding its territory and established 화랑도 as a state system. The Silla dynasty, which began in 57 BCE and formed the dynasty in the southern part of Korea until 935 CE, adopted Buddhism in the 6th century, and a unique culture blossomed until the 8th century. At this time, Silla dynasty culture was not simply placed under the influence of Buddhist culture. Rather, the existing shamanist culture accepted Buddhist culture and creatively formed a new culture. The Silla kingdom introduced a new culture and political structure to strengthen its royal authority and create a military organization to handle it. This way, during the 6th century, Silla rulers tried to systematically cultivate young leaders through the newly introduced Buddhist culture, while still rooted in traditional culture of shamanism. In this sense, 화랑도, also called 원화, 국선, 풍월도, 풍류도, is the title of a system and movement for cultivating young people. According to 삼국사기, which chronicles the three ancient kingdoms of Korea, the youth education system initially began with 원화 system, a system where female leaders led male youth. The 원화 system was an attempt to educate youth centered on women as charismatic beings. However, when the 원화 system failed due to internal conflicts, King Jinheung picked a man, made him 화랑, and gathered youth underneath him to lead them. Through 화랑도 system, the state selected male teenagers with excellent appearance to serve the state through mental and physical training. The curriculum stated consists of three categories. The first is to cultivate each other's character through morals. And since the three religions' teaching of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism were already handed down, they could learn the core principles out of them. In other words, 화랑도 was a system in the form of a combination of Korea's unique beliefs based on shamanism and the three religions of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. According to Dong-sik Yu, the core principle of the teachings of the three religions is to teach everyone to overcome the world of self-centeredness formed by obsessions with the self and the world, and return to the nature given by heaven. Here, through training, dancing, and singing in nature, Hwarang tried to engage with God's spirit and experience becoming united with God. Hwarang, who is united with God, was believed to do things without self-interest, teaching in Taoism. And when he comes to home, he is devoted to his parents and goes out. He is loyal to the country in Confucianism, abandons all evil things, and does good in Buddhism. Most specifically, Hwarang taught 5 precepts called 세속 오개, that is, be loyal to the king, treat parents with respect, make friends by mutual trust, never retreat in battle, and never take a life without just cause. These 5 precepts of Hwarang character formation brought together the teachings of 3 religions of the society at the time. Secondly, to accompany these precepts, Hwarang instructed his students to enjoy music and dance. Isn't it fascinating? And they valued singing and dancing and classical poetry. The reason Hwarang-do placed such importance on music and dance was not simply on an artistic level. It also had a religious implication. Their songs and dances have religious or magical meaning, and they were inherited from the shamanic tradition of communicating with spirit through singing and dancing. In ancient times, rituals were carried out through singing and dancing, through which people had an experience of becoming one with God in ecstasy. Because these shamanic traditions were embedded in the curriculum of Hwarang system, Hwarang placed great importance on music and dance. Hwarang experienced collective ecstasy through singing and dancing together, experiencing a change in their mode of existence that liberated from the bonds and restrictions of the world. They also enjoyed drinking. And a new self-experience in which humans become united with the God. The third element of Hwarang-do teaching was to visit and play in beautiful mountains and rivers. And it was natural for people who enjoyed dancing and singing in Korean sentiment to visit and play in nature. For them, play had a religious meaning beyond simple entertainment. Hwarang trained based on a sense of community. The students did not learn alone, but were collectively influenced by each other and cultivated religious experience and morality. Hwarang and his group visited famous mountains and rivers, big rivers, because they believed nature not only had beauty, but also had the spirit of heaven that is present there. Therefore, their visit to mountains and rivers was aimed at breathing in the spirit of nature and at the same time socializing with the spirit of heaven that has been present there. They visited places known to be where the gods of mountains, rivers, and seas were present and tried to learn how to protect the country throughout companionship with the gods. These parts of the curriculum instituted the collective character of a warrior organization. Hwarang trained their bodies by practicing martial arts and cultivated academics and personal character through 세속오개, which concentrated the teachings of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism. In addition, Hwarang enjoyed collective songs and dances as part of a community and religious culture, traveled around the country, toured famous places, and sought the God's presence and cooperations through transcendent experiences. Hwarang were exemplary and self-sacrificing warriors, students, sportsmen, leaders, priests, and entertainers. Dong-sik Yu considers this Hwarangdo to be another basic axis of Korean sentiment. He argued that the spirit of making moral, academic, and physical effort to grow himself from a young age, believing in each other's friendship, enjoying singing and dancing, and sacrificing himself for society is deeply rooted in Korean culture and sentiment. In addition, he claimed that in modern and contemporary history, Korean Christians served Korean society by becoming like Hwarang. Accordingly, he argued that contemporary Korean Christians should be or must be the Hwarang of Korean society, who serves Korean society with similar spirit. Hwarangdo, which embraced various religions and tried to create a new ethos based on its fundamental principles of self-transcendence and selfless service, have a potential to impact not only Korean Christians, but also people of other religions and cultures. For example, do you know who they are? Yes. Do you like them? Yeah, I really a fan. I really want to join the fandom, the army. Yeah, for you. Yeah. For example, the young men and women who have been leading K-pop culture in recent years share the characteristics of Hwarang or Hwarangdo. In particular, it is easy for some Korean scholars such as Yong-ho Kim to interpret the K-pop groups such as BTS with a style of collective singing and dancing in light of Hwarangdo. Based on the global enthusiasm for K-pop, I think there is an international cross-cultural possibility to accommodate enjoy Hwarangdo, even though it is a unique socio-cultural religious tradition of Korea. Among the various values and training methods of Hwarangdo, I believe that inclusiveness of other cultures and religions, overcoming of self-centeredness, respect for life, discipline of mind and body through collective music and dancing, and the pursuit of spiritual sensitivity through experiences in nature can be helpful values for the global communities of culture, religion, and science and technology. If the global communities are open to embrace these values of Hwarangdo, they may find a way to develop pro-social moral AI out of these alternative values. We have searched for the moral values that may contribute to the development of pro-social moral AI from Hwarangdo, which forms the most fundamental spirituality or subjectivity of Koreans. Throughout thousands of years of Korean history, Hwarangdo has been at the deepest foundation of Korean sentiment, lifestyle, culture, and religion, and even science and technology. As Korean culture spreads over the global communities through K-foods, K-drama, K-movies, and K-pop, and online video games, the uniqueness that comes from a relatively small and little-known country located in the so-called Far East receives a warm welcome from global communities. The idea of Hwarangdo or Pungryudo reveals how Korean culture developed in a unique and fundamental foundation that is inclusive to other religions and cultures, but also appreciates family, community, life, nature, and spirit through the discipline of body and mind. Being rooted in Korean religions and cultures, Hwarangdo or Pongryudo may have the potential to challenge self-centered, individualistic, and anthropocentric culture, and to be utilized as one of the religious and cultural values for pro-social moral AI. With AI, although many scholars and engineers are working hard to develop pro-social moral AI with cutting-edge technologies, we should now admit that the development of pro-social moral AI may not be possible by the members of communities, even if they are religious, that are contaminated by selfish individualism, parochialism, colonialism, dualism, and anthropocentrism. However, if we are willing to listen and learn from Hwarangdo or Pongryudo, it may become an effective alternative to develop pro-social moral AI, even if that may not be the answer. For example, Hwarangdo were a group of warriors who trained for years to become professional combatants. They were expected to go to the battlefield to kill their enemies. However, they were not killer machines programmed to destroy like today's combat drones. They were disciplined to respect life and were always aware of the preciousness of life. Even if they had to join battle and take the lives of their enemies, they should have done so only with just cause, not as a game of fun, but an unavoidable option to protect all the lives of those they loved. Although the Hwarang was a professional military group trained to go to war, respect for life was one of the main norms and values they upheld. The Hwarangdo respect for life, heavily influenced by Buddhism, will be a key value to apply to the development of moral AI. The cultivation of both a warrior spirit and a respect for life, for all life, in Hwarangdo reveals a goal for our increasing militarization of AI. The pursuit of militarized robots should be tempered by this respect. Another teaching that we can apply to moral AI through Hwarangdo is the practice of becoming one with nature through dance and music. Hwarangdo had a clear purpose to win battles and defend their country. To learn the knowledge for this goal, they read books and trained their minds in school. However, they also went out into nature to sing and dance and become one with nature. Today, many students learn inside buildings, and AI engineers develop AI inside labs. Most of the concepts, research, and development of moral AI robots will be conducted inside buildings. After AI robots improve sufficiently, they will go outside to undergo the final stage of testing, and then they will go out into the streets of the city, entering buildings to serve people, and practicing what they've learned in the laboratory. In this development of process, knowledge and information will be emphasized, but play, dance, and music will disappear, and nature will be lost outside the developer's research interests. While Hwarang were trained with knowledge, however, they trained their minds and bodies by going out into nature simultaneously. We now know that in the educational programs of Hwarangdo, visiting famous mountains and big rivers to play, sing, and dance collectively was as important in their training as gaining knowledge and information in their classrooms. They believed that there were other beings, such as gods and spirits in famous mountains and big rivers. They went out into nature to commune with them, to be transformed by their encounters, and to become one with them. Failure to give increasingly sophisticated AI robots an opportunity to interact with the natural world will surely create morally stunted intellects. The community of life is one that should be advanced by AI in all its forms. Even in corporate settings, what purpose is there to AI can make money if it does so without regard for the natural world? From Hwarangdo, we learn that our values should bring work and play and community and the individual pursuit of perfection to one another. The Hwarangdo cultivated body and mind at the same time. They did not live in a dichotomous world that separated knowledge and practice, mind and body, laboratory and real world, learning and play, subject and object, individual and collective, humans and gods. They sought to integrate these things holistically and to train their minds and bodies to become better beings. In addition, while they received specialized military training, they did not seek to win wars on their own. To better fulfill their clear purpose of serving their country through victory, they stayed in the classroom but also went out into nature. They went to mountains and rivers not to fight alone in the future battlefield arrogantly, but humbly to gain victory on the battlefield together with the wisdom and help of gods and spirits in nature. They danced and sang as a group in order to be united with gods and spirits in nature. So far, we have reflected on the religious and cultural values that can contribute to the development of pro-social moral AI. Hwarangdo forms the most fundamental foundation of Korean culture and religion, especially the Korean spirit. If various religions have interacted with Korean society in the thousands of years of Korean history, Hwarangdo lies its deep-rooted foundation. Today, Korea has begun to influence the global communities through various cultural activities such as K-dramas, K-movies, and K-pop, rather than through religion. However, because religion, culture, and science interact and develop with each other, however, Hwarangdo or Pungnyudo, or Korean spirituality that valued play, dance, and singing, lies in the deep root of Korean culture that is advancing into the world today. Although numerous scientists in Western society are working to develop pro-social moral AI robots, now we must not stay in the scientific and technological issues of how to program or build such AI robots, but rather focus on the issues of diversity and receptivity of persons, communities, and stories that forms virtues and values. If we have to think about the virtues and values provided by various cultures and religions, for example, whose stories, which communities we should listen to, which values to choose, and how to form virtues in order to develop of a more social AI, then Hwarangdo could be an appropriate alternative. To this end, more stories of Hwarangdo need to be translated and introduced to the global communities. When Hwarangdo is introduced to international cultural communities that are receptive to Korean culture, they will be able to develop more progressive, spiritual, and altruistic cultural community of Hwarangdo. while we remember the interaction of culture, religion, and science and technology, it seems that K-culture and values may be unfamiliar and slow to be introduced to international scientific communities for AI. Therefore, I hope that those of us who are gathered here with an interest in the development of AI, pro-social moral AI, will pay more attention to other religions, local cultures and values around the world, and of course, to Korean religions, culture, and values. And if some of us are interested in Hwarangdo and try to contribute to the formation of the global community, which I would call the Hwarangdo community, we can find more options, directly or indirectly, to contribute to the development of pro-social moral AI. Imagining the emergence of the global community united by Hwarangdo for AI, I once again recall Professor Dong-sik Yu's argument that Korean Christians should become Hwarangdo Christians. If we applied his argument to the global community of Hwarangdo, we can imagine the members of the community to be called Hwarang Jews, Hwarang Buddhists, Hwarang Muslims, Hwarang Catholics, and Hwarang Protestants who are respectful of diversity, community, nature, and life. So, if AI robots in the future are able to accept and learn Hwarangdo as a moral value by living together in the community of Hwarangdo, probably most of our, I hopefully, to belong, in order to learn morality and pro-sociality for coexistence with humans, then one day in the future, Hwarang humans and Hwarang AI robots can go out together into the nature, mountains and rivers, to learn virtues through singing and dancing together, all together. Recently, the Korean conglomerate Hyundai acquired Boston Dynamics, a famous robot manufacturing company. If you watch the Boston Dynamics YouTube channel before the acquisition, each of the company's robots fails in the laboratory test to move like humans, and then eventually overcomes these difficulties, then carrying objects, going outside, walking like humans, and even jumping like humans. However, the content of YouTube video changed dramatically after the Korean company acquired it. In the first video seen since the acquisition, the robots no longer work like humans, but dance to music. This is the first YouTube. And it's not just one robot dancing alone. Instead, all the various types of robots developed so far appear and dance collectively to music. The video was amazing, funny, and fascinating, as you can see now. It's actually more than this. However, when I watched the video, I felt as if Hwarangdo, a deep sentiment of Koreans who likes to dance and sing and dance together, was deeply rooted in the dancing robots. Now, the AI robots started dancing in front of humans. And robots and humans dance separately yet. But I dream robots and humans dancing together one day in the future. Let's imagine Hwarang AI robots learn Hwarangdo, singing and dancing collectively with humans in mountains and rivers. Wouldn't such robots be closer to a pro-social moral AI than AI in the labs? Wouldn't it be cool and amazing, exciting, and surprising for us to imagine such Hwarang AI robots that play together with us? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a few minutes for questions and responses. So I have the microphone and I will be happy. Remember, there are people watching across the internet desperately wishing to ask questions, but they can't. So this is your opportunity to do that for them, or at least to add to their level of jealousy that they weren't here in the room today. So time for a couple of questions. I have one of my own, but I would allow others to go first if anybody has something pressing. I'm going to give you the mic because of the whole live stream.
Professor, for a moment you mentioned that the AI would know what its enemies are, and it would be able to fight those enemies and combat them. What would you classify as an enemy, and how would the AI know what an enemy is?
It's an important question. You're guessing moral AI. How can they differentiate or know who's friends? Actually, I was in the AI conference a year ago. It was about pattern recognition. And one of the deputy director of DARPA came and gave a lecture. He was specialized in pattern recognition through video imagery, and he was actually developing drone in the flight. And yeah, the main thing is that the AI drone must find out who is foe or friends, and let the operator know and help them, like 70% of the possibility this is for friends. And he was doing just like that. And then, you explained it. I read the question and asked him. I think this is a very, and he was talking about ethical issues that may raise. But I just read the question. But I know that this is a very important ethical question. But I assume that if drone, the killer drone, is developed enough, wouldn't you let it just decide alone instead of human intervention, and kill the friends or no, sorry, the foe? And are you developing this? And actually, he didn't say yes or no, which means it is being developed. So I think I'm not the scientist or engineers or how to differentiate, but I know from the interaction with the field, they will actually develop it eventually. But the thing is that Hwarangdo, sometimes, we need to, not only we just differentiate, if you just find the foe with a knife, then you have a gun, and there's a, the drone, and you find the enemy with a knife, but the other, your friends are with the guns or motors, machine guns. If we don't, that's why, don't put some kind of respect for life found from Hwarangdo, it might just kill, right? Who knows? Because it carried the knife, or maybe cell phone. So, thing is that we shouldn't take or break all the life, not only the human beings or other animals or things, just for fun or without any just cause, or proportionality or whatever. That's why I'm just thinking AI robot, even if it is going to be a killer drone, must have not only the program to actually sometimes just to protect our country and loved one, also it needs to have the idea of the preciousness of life. Thank you.
Do we have another hand up? in the room?
Yeah, hello. I just have actually two questions. Can, in your own answer, tell me what do you think a consciousness is? And do you think the AI can either develop consciousness or we have to build it? Because my understanding, consciousness can be measured from plants or trees and things like that.
That's very important question, and I am keep questioning and researching, and there are some division in the developers of AI, as far as I know. Some of the thing is that first, we have to differentiate. We have to know what exactly means by consciousness. Conscience, sorry, conscious. And then we can go further. But the thing is that we don't know what exactly it is yet and how it comes out of intelligence or brains or whatever. But I sometimes read the books or watch YouTube or just try to get that kind of stuff. Some engineers, like ex-Google engineers or whatever, they just think that they just, when they just tell AI or whatever, they already treat them like human beings and already had consciousness or conscious or whatever we can just name as the characteristics of human beings. And he always keep saying that it is a matter of time. It is a matter of time. So, yeah, I am not an engineer or scientist that can but they can say like the AI eventually may have it, but I'm not in the position of determine and whatever you can. Yeah.
I think Josh is just worried that his religious studies professor
Oh.
might not be conscious, and that it would be good to replace him with a robot in the near future. Do we have other questions here in the room? Okay.
So much for this presentation. I am also a theologian, so I don't know anything about robots. But if the goal is to make moral, human-like moral robots or artificial intelligence, pro-social AI, how are we accounting for, is it that the robots lack human frailty or sin?
That's
And so they'll be better than us? Because I feel like if we dump human intelligence into robots, all we'll be doing is replicating social problems that we have now.
Yeah, that's very important question. And I actually wrote some articles about it. Yes, I'm gonna say two different trends of answering that. First, I'm a Christian theologian, heavily rely on Reinhold Niebuhr. So even if you try to build up, more intelligent beings without any, human, tame or whatever, but I feel that it's the product of, and it's first product of sinful human beings, and it cannot be free from the sinfulness. So that's why actually in my another article, religious AI as an option to the risks of superintelligence, I just dealt with the added issues of sin and robots. But at the same time, this is Hongna-Darom, a Buddhist. He argues totally different ways. Sin or anything that we human, emotions thing is human, is limitations. Everything is caused by sufferings. He is a Buddhist, a theist. But robots, when it is advances very like more than humans, it's gonna be very rational and intelligent and more intelligent than humans. But it is free from emotions or whatever. That is the basis of the sin or attachment or whatever you can name badly. So it could be ideally then from the perspective of Buddhism, it may be possible. But I'm a Christian theologian, so I'm a little different from that perspective.
We just need the robots to be a bit better than we are, and then that would be a win, right? Another question?
As far as religion goes, do you think the AI will develop their own religious belief?
Wow, yes. There is a forum website. It is Rocos Basilic, or I just have a citation in my article. There was a forum that it is about the superintelligence forum, and they had a thought experiment. And then the creation of superintelligence shouldn't be delayed, so you should donate or help the development of AI. Otherwise, you're in the future, when your mind or conscious or whatever is uploaded to the virtual reality in machine, your mind will be suffered in virtual world, under the fire or whatever, pains by the superintelligence because you just delayed my coming. Yeah, and it was not simply just a thought experiment. Some people were suffered because they just took it so seriously, so they couldn't sleep well. They had nightmares, and whatever you can. So many people just donated. And I think it's already a form of religion itself. And if AI advances way more than human beings, then it could do anything. So again, in my article, so I just argued that we have to teach them. I'm a Christian, Christianity, because without it, without humbleness before God, the superintelligence could be anything. Like some scientists just compared it, could be like human to ants or human to just whatever, in terms of intelligence. If superintelligence advanced that much, then it could do whatever it wants to do. So my another argument is that without religious restrict, or without like self-sacrifice, or without any self-restriction, superintelligence could do or be anything. It can make itself like kind of God of science or whatever. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
We got another question over there. We'll do like two more, one more and then one more question after this, and then we'll wrap it up.
I'm just not completely sold on the idea of moral AI, just because I think that morality is very often not absolute. It can be relative. Like, for example, generally it is said that one should tell the truth, but in certain circumstances, if someone is fleeing from a robber, then and the robber asks you where is the person I'm chasing, then at that time to save that person, you should tell a lie. So I'm just wondering, like, in those cases, that moral AI might be becoming an immoral AI and might be more trouble than anything good. I wonder if you could comment on something.
Yeah, that's great. There's a serious question about relativity or particularity or universality, or we can name it. Yes, morality can be, for example, love in this culture could be like, kind of, evil or hatred or whatever. According to culture, the same morality or virtue not only can be, weighted or, may have some hierarchical, structures, but also it could be, in conflict. Yeah, that's what I'm agreeing with you. But I was thinking about this. We tend to think about our culture. I'm not just opposed to U.S. or Western cultures. Without being exposed to other cultures, we tend to think about I am the best. Our morality is the morality or the virtue or something like that. My proposal about this, being exposed to other cultures is just like although we have some risks of difficulties in determining which morality would be or virtue could be better or how the difficulties of letting more AI to decide which one. I think that kind of I would say I have some section, but it was too long, so I dealt with that issues in that section. We tend to make ourselves more, I just said techno or new colonialism or techno-colonialism or something like that, without being exposed to other different cultures or other virtues understood in other cultures or religions or countries. We tend to think about this is the best and try to rule out other global communities with our own. I don't think it's a good way of interacting with each other. If you just set, like when you are thinking about love, in the Western society under Christian, I'm a Christian, but we always think about agape or love, like a Christian. But that love could be replaced. I just wrote in the Korean term of 정. This is another way of understanding love. So there are many other ways, or then throughout being exposed and learning and affecting each other, as Stanley Howard actually, I also cut some of the examples because of the time limitation. According to his argument, though some stories or cultures or virtue in the countries are all different, the essence or core of the stories can be understood as by other people in different cultures or different as the same, like for courage or love or from different stories in different times or different cultures, different. So I agree with him, so that if we are actually let more AI to be exposed to as many as stories or more cultures, then it can discern. It's not a dumb AI. It could be more intelligent than human beings. Then they can extract the core virtue out of all the similar stories about, let's say, courage or love. So that I think it's possible for it to discern or to be more AI.
Okay, thank you. Do we have one more question? Oh, we got a question in the back. The man volunteering his time. All right, this will be our last question for today.
I'll take advantage of this just because, thank you so much for this really fascinating lecture. It's given me a lot to think about. The way AI tends to be sold is that it's more efficient than human beings. Doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to take a break, you don't have to give it a vacation. How are we going to sell to the capitalists the idea that robots are going to be singing and dancing and experiencing non-efficient ways of morality?
That's very, very practical in this the side of pragmatism. Yes, but sometimes I just use this analogy of the highway. We are in New York right now, right? And if you're going to Boston, Massachusetts, but you are heading down to Washington, D.C., because you feel that it's more effective or something, or whatever reason. Okay. So you are going down, but your perfection or your goal is, let's say, Boston. My wife studied there. I think, yeah, for some time being, it could be inefficient to teach moral AI, to dance together and sing together like artistic way. But without that, just human beings we are actually making moral AI that is consist of all kinds of characteristics of humans, right? We are not just make just like big and the small kinds of body. We want to make it harmonious and holistic and perfect ideal of humans, so that you can sometimes rely without that kind of artistic way, or without being exposed to nature or to the ideals of or faith of God or gods or anything. We are actually cutting everything, and then trying to do something, but it may not be holistically speaking, it's not like us. So I hope, although it could be slow, we want to go to the right direction, right? We don't want to make mistakes, wrong. If once AI just was created, super intelligence created, if we have some problems and some vicious part of something, we cannot change anything. That's why at the stage of child level, until you can control, we want to make it holistic. Thinking about life, not just like bugs, not simply the animal, just some bugs or some trees or anything. Life is important. We can just think about superior being. Even though we have the AI is developed into super intelligence by the definition of God or something, there must be some beings superior to myself, super intelligent. Then it can make themselves humble. That's why I'm just asking the dancing and music or singing, and also gave you the example of Hwarang, experienced warrior, not simply going to the battlefield arrogantly alone, but they wanted to go to the battlefield together with the wisdom and help and the power of the divine that they commune together. So that's why I'm just asking or thinking, imagine through my imagine, making this AI holistically. Then, though it could be inefficient at the beginning stage, we are making the right one. That's more important than the efficiency. That's my idea.
I suppose that's the role of those of us in colleges and universities, in part to think about long-term efficiency and not just the short-term efficiency of the stock market, right? That if we want to have a future together, we're maybe going to have to build it that way. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Professor Song, for your wonderful presentation. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.